moving on to Between the Lines. A lot happened this week between the lines. There was a lot of interesting storylines, a lot of interesting stuff. We're going to bounce around. There's a lot of NFL stuff. We're getting Week 12. The first one we're going to talk about is the Talib versus Michael Crabtree fight. They both got thrown out, so they're both out of the game, ejected, 0 fantasy points for Michael Crabtree owners out there. And they've now both been suspended for 2 games, which is, when you really look at it, it was 3-game suspension for a fight on a field, which seems pretty harsh for a fight. What are your thoughts?
Well, one, I feel like I haven't seen, I don't remember a time where there's been so many like key fights with AJ Green and just, this maybe just this year, but I'm not used to seeing there's punches being thrown this year in the NFL, and you're not used to. I remember guy from the corner from the Tennessee Titans when he punched the guy in the corner. I forgot his name, but he punched the guy. I'm just not used to seeing it, but I do like 2 games sounds like a little, but in the NFL it's a lot because there's not that many games. So I mean, do I think it's fair? No. I think maybe a 1-game suspension would be fair. And kind of leave it at that. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but
I think that the bigger thing is Talib ripping Michael Crabtree's chain off, and I know there's a lot of people joking around about there that he's gotten his chain stolen twice now, but with a fight like this, like you see and you look at it and you say, hey, there's more fights. I think a lot of the times you see linemen fight. Yeah. And everybody's used to that because linemen pushing each other is what they do. Yeah. So when you start watching wide receivers and corners throwing punches, you start being like, oh man, it's different because those are the flashy people. Those are the not the grinders that you expect to be hitting people. And you're just seeing it more. And listen, this happened fast in the game. It's 2 people who are in the same conference. It's a big game. It's a big divisional game. Talib seems to get into fights. He seems to get into problems. He seems to get into trouble. This is the first time that I've seen Crabtree really have an issue like this. I think 3 games of suspension is hard. I think 3 games of suspension is hard because really, if you talk about the thrown out game, you lost that entire game, and now you're going to lose 2 more games. So you're losing 3 out of 16 possible games.
I see what you're saying there.
That's a lot of time lost. That's like missing 20, 30 games if you're a baseball player. Could you imagine a guy threw a punch, he got 20, 30 games?
Well, that's why I'm saying it's a 1-game thing. If you look at the MLB when they suspend guys, it's usually like a 5-game thing for a pitcher, which is a week. Which is one thing.
Yeah, which is a week, which is and NFL 1 game is a week. Yeah, that's already
NFL's all over the place to begin with. So I'm not surprised here.
They have some issues with the league in general. Yeah. So we're going to switch topics. We'll bounce around back to the NFL in a minute. But the other one was a story that really was fun to watch, but also crazy to see. Alabama basketball playing 3-on-5 versus Minnesota. Fight breaks out. Guys are going back and forth that they want to clear off the bench to go out and break up this fight. The guys who do come out finally all have to get ejected. Everybody who left the bench gets ejected. So now they're playing. They only have 5 players. 2 guys. 1 guy gets hurt. One guy fouls out. And now you have a 3-on-5 basketball game. And the rule states that if the officials think that the other team has a chance of winning, that the game continues. Yeah. And you can play 3-on-5. Because typically if you have 5 guys on the bench, you can't play 3-on-5. You have to put somebody out there on the court. But in this rare situation, the refs get an opportunity. And the game ends up being 89-85. Who does this say more about? The quality of Alabama basketball or the terribleness of Minnesota basketball? Or do we just think it was a case that Minnesota was playing not to lose at that point and it was an awkward situation?
Well, first of all, tough day for Alabama. Yeah. For their school. Yeah. They lost in football, and then their basketball team has 3 guys playing. That's amazing. I saw that and I was like, wow, that's awesome. I think it was Minnesota just kind of playing not to lose at that point. In your head, you're like what is actually happening? You start doing things that aren't normal to you, and you start missing shots because you're worried about X and Y. Yeah. So I think it was just them trying to holding on for dear life because they're almost like, oh my God, what just happened? And they're in pure shock. And Alabama, those guys are playing hungry. They leave like something to play for, So it's like when you're like you play that game of basketball when it's like 1v3 and you're always like, I'm just gonna beat I'm gonna beat these guys. It's kind of how they were playing.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting to see, and definitely you could see that they were lost. They were playing a little too hesitant. I was wondering why they didn't just press. Press the ball 2-on-1, and every time just trap the guy and try to get him to turn the ball over. They kind of played back and let the guys swing the ball around the edges and wait for the shot clock to tire out. Just amazing that it was 89 points, 85 points.
Yeah.
Like, how did 3 guys score 85 points in a game where there was nobody playing? Going back to the NFL, because the NFL had some amazing performances. Phillip Rivers, 435 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. The Chargers beat the Cowboys 28-6, and they're currently now 1 game back with the Chiefs after a loss to the Buffalo Bills. What's going on with Phillip Rivers and the Chargers?
I don't even know what to say about the Chargers. It's interesting. They started off terrible, and I mean Phillip Rivers is an experienced quarterback. He's been through it all. I love Phillip Rivers personally.
I love Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, he's this. You don't hear a word about Phillip Rivers. He goes out and he does his job.
I also saw he has 8 kids.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for him.
And he also still lives in San Diego, and he drives up to L.A. every day.
He's going to play on his own football team with his kids.
Every day. The Chargers are interesting. I love Phillip Rivers. He always gets forgotten about because the 2 other quarterbacks who were drafted with him, seriously, J.P. Lossman on the Bills doesn't count. Hashtag salty Bills fan. Ben Roethlisberger and Eli Manning. Both have multiple Super Bowl championships. Both are in the same draft class as Phillip Rivers. But if you look at the passing statistics, out of those 3 quarterbacks, Phillip Rivers is better than both of them. His team has never been there to win. You never know why. You see a game like this, 435 yards, 3 touchdowns. You beat a Dallas team that is kind of on the ropes right now. They're not what they expected to be. They look like a slightly above 500 team. I think the Chargers are going to win the division. Oakland Raiders were supposed to. Broncos were supposed to be competitive.
Yeah, it's a
the
weird
team
division.
to beat was supposed to be the Raiders, and now you look at it, and the Chargers are stormy. You can't really look at them and say, hey, they're going to have these issues. They have all these weaknesses. They look strong. I think the Chargers come back and make the playoffs with an 8-8 record or a 9-7 record. That division stinks.
Do they do anything in the playoffs though, the Chargers, or you see them just kind of being a one and done?
I think that their offense is dangerous and the AFC is weak. If you're the Patriots, like, do you really want them coming all the way across and throwing the football around? Phillip Rivers is just as wily and excitable as a guy like Tom Brady. I mean, they're very similar players.
Yeah.
Size, movement-wise, throwing-wise, career-wise. Like, Phillip Rivers and Tom Brady are very parallel with each other.
Yeah.
Phil just hasn't had the success team-wise. I think that has more to do with San Diego than it does Phillip Rivers.
Okay.
But I think that Keenan Allen can ball. That passing game can ball. Melvin Gordon is good. That team has the offensive weapons to win a shootout game.
Yeah. And
you have a quarterback who can win a shootout game.
Yeah.
Do you want that? And the Patriots' defense has been suspect at times this year. The Steelers have been suspect this year. Do you really want to see the Chargers? I wouldn't. Last one for Between the Lines this week, Julio Jones, 253 yards on 12 catches, 2 touchdowns. It's the most 250-yard games in the NFL at 3. And is he the best wide receiver in the NFL?
No.
Who's the best wide receiver in the NFL?
Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown.
Why?
Yeah.
Now, Julio Jones is a much more physical, imposing guy than Antonio Brown. But
if you watch any of these episodes, you know what I feel about Antonio Brown.
I think it's consistency. And some of it has to do with the team. Some of it's not on Julio Jones. It's all, again, you're relying on a quarterback to throw you the ball, right? And Matt Ryan and Ben Roethlisberger are both very, very, Matt Ryan's an MVP, so they're both very capable quarterbacks. So to me, it's just Antonio Brown. I like Antonio Brown. Probably because I'm an undersized guy and I like seeing someone like that.
I love Antonio Brown, and I think that he has every route in the route tree. He has everything you can possibly do. But Julio Jones, when he is on his game,
he's a beast.
When he's on his game, he scares you like Randy Moss scares you.
He's a beast. Like,
when Antonio Brown is on his game, he'll catch 18 passes for 200 yards, right? And he'll beat you by catching a ton of balls all over, different route trees. And it's demoralizing because he beats you with everything.
Yeah.
Julio Jones, you can know what he's doing, and he'll just go out and just kill you.
Yeah, he's
which is an amazing talent, and again, 250 plus yards 3 times, most in NFL history. To think that guys like Randy Moss, guys like Jerry Rice, guys like Antonio Brown, have never done that.
More of a passing league, but
absolutely, but
still,
to think that no one else has done that
he is
crazy.
A beast.
It's crazy.
Julio Jones is a beast.